Okay, girl, we need to talk because somebody started a ridiculous rumor, and I'd like a word. Actually, I'd like several words. Somewhere along the way, especially in the spiritual and personal development space, somebody convinced us that if we were really, really aligned, like if we were really healing, if we were really trusting the universe or God or whatever language you want to use, we wouldn't doubt. We just I don't know, float along. Just bliss bunnies, just gliding through life with our little fucking green juice and our manifestation journal. And we'd be like, I simply trust the process. But no, Susan, no, the fuck you don't. Okay? You trust the process until the mortgage is due. You trust the process until your marriage falls apart. You trust the process until the doctor looks at you and says, we found something. You basically trust the process until life punches you in the throat, right? And then suddenly everybody's over here like Googling signs that the universe has abandoned me. What did I do wrong, right? And listen, I'm kind of making a joke of it, not because it's like no big deal, but because I've been there. Like let's be honest, I kind of have a frequent flyer card. Because if you've been around for any length of time, you already know. I've been walking through one of the biggest reinventions of my entire life, one of the biggest transformations I've ever been through. Leaving a career, losing a house, buying an RV, building a speaking career, starting this show, and literally completely rebuilding my identity from the ground up. And if social media had only been seeing the highlight reel, you probably would have thought that I was handling it like a fucking boss, like some enlightened monk, right? Like just everything is unfolding exactly as it's meant to be. And meanwhile, off camera, I'm over here like ugly crying into a pillow so that my kid doesn't hear me in the next room. Like full snot, right? Mascara, all I don't wear mascara, but you get the point, okay? Ugly cry face all the way. Just like, ah! Like, you know the cry. You know it. We've all been there. The one where like somebody walks into the room and they're like, just bag it up. Just gonna bag it up on out of here. Like, I don't know what demons they're fighting, but I'm gonna leave them to it. Okay? Like that kind of cry, right? And here's the thing. Here's what fascinates me. Every single time during this entire transformation, every single time that I would pull myself together, I'd get back on camera and make another episode. I'd go look at another fucking RV. I'd go to another dealership. I'd apply for another loan. I would make another phone call. I would go for a damn walk. I'd do something just to not fold in on myself completely, right? And it was like oftentimes in those moments where I'm like barely hanging on, that somebody would message me or text me or DM me and they'd be like, oh my God, you're so inspiring. You inspire me so much. I'm so impressed by you. And I'm not doing the voice because I'm making fun of them. I'm actually just like, it's the irony of the entire situation of like, oh yeah? You sure? Because every single time I'd be thinking like, if you only fucking knew that like literally 30 seconds ago, I was just, just wordlessly sobbing on my bathroom floor. Like, I have not been fearless in this entire thing. Jesus, I've not been fearless. I have not been unwavering. I wasn't like walking around radiating enlightened certainty, 24 hours a day. I have been scared out of my damn mind, like pretty much almost the entire time. And I think that's really important to own, to like name, because somewhere along the way, we've confused having faith with never feeling fear. And those things are not the same. In fact, I think they're kind of opposite. Because faith really only exists where uncertainty does. If you only believe when it's easy, it's not really faith, right? If you already knew exactly how everything was going to work out, you wouldn't need faith. You wouldn't need to believe in anything. You just basically need a calendar. I mean, really. And this isn't just a spirituality thing. I mean, it's mostly a spirituality thing, but it kind of happens everywhere. Personal development space, business, fitness, relationships, everybody is selling certainty. Just believe harder. Just pray harder. Just raise your vibration. Think positive. It's all about the mindset. And you're over here like having a fucking panic attack in the Target parking lot. And so suddenly you feel like you're like failing twice. You're failing at whatever it is that you're trying to do, and you're scared. So now you're like, fucking, I'm bad at spirituality too. Like, congratulations. Now you've got shame about having fear, which is like, what the fuck? And it's honestly one of the most efficient, most effective ways to make fear kind of stick around is by being ashamed of it and then trying to shove it down and trying to like pretend like it's not there. I remember when I first got into this like spirituality, personal development stuff a few years ago. I left the church, which was a very, very important decision to me, and walked away from religion in pursuit of spirituality that felt like mine, that was meaningful to me, that actually resonated, not just something that was shoved down my throat when I was a kid, you know? And I was out there. I was digging in. I was head first, just like, whoop, I was going to read every book, listen to every podcast. I was watching all the YouTube videos. I was making vision boards like it was my job. I was standing in the mirror with all the affirmations that I could handle. Okay. I had Post-its all over my shit everywhere. It was just all of it. It was manifestation on the mind 24/7. I was constantly thinking about energy and alignment, just like all of it. And what does it mean? And frequency and vibration. And what does that all mean? And how do I apply it to my life? I was literally just absorbing and consuming as much as I could. I wanted to learn everything because suddenly I was free of the ritualistic endeavor that had been Christianity for me. So being raised Christian, I was essentially told what to believe, when to believe it, how to believe it, and how hard. And I was fed every single aspect of that belief system my entire life growing up, right? My parents were preachers. My dad was a preacher. Then when he died, my mom took over the church. So, you know, a woman preacher in the 90s. In the South, it was interesting, y'all. I was doing what I knew. I was believing what I knew. I was essentially just regurgitating the things that I had been taught because, you know, I'd taken it as truth. I'd taken it to believe there was the only truth. And so when I left the church and I decided to kind of pursue my own path and figure out what felt right to me, what feels right in my heart, you know, what belief systems feel like absolute garbage and which ones like actually kind of make sense, right? And so I was really just trying to get as much as I could. I mean, as fast as I could. I was in it, you know, I was so excited and just like overwhelmed by it, but in a good way, you know? And so I was doing all of it, y'all. Like I was taking classes, I was reading books, all of the things, everything I could get my hands on. And there was always this underlying message. Sometimes people said it outright, just blatantly. I had coaches tell me flat out, but sometimes they didn't have to. It was always there though, regardless. It was this message, this perpetuated message that says, if you doubt, you're slowing it down. If you doubt, you are blocking your manifestation. I remember I had one coach tell me, if you have even a shred of doubt in you at all, if you doubt even at all, even for a moment, you will not be able to manifest what you want. And the message was, you have to believe fully in what you're manifesting. And I understand what she was trying to say. But it was that message. It was that thread, if you will. And everything that I read, everything I watched, everything I heard, it was always this, if you doubt, you are sending the wrong signal to the universe and you're going to fuck it all up. And I remember thinking back then, like, seems kind of intense, y'all. Like, oh, fuck, I have work to do because I'm doubting my ass off. Like, I remember every time I doubt, I would like get this knot in my stomach and I'd be like, fuck, I just fucked it up. I have to start over again. Like, and it just felt off to me. Not because I wanted to doubt. Like, trust me, if there's like a fucking button I could push that would like permanently remove all anxiety from my system, I'd slap that bitch so hard it'd file a restraining order, all right? It wasn't because I wanted to doubt. It wasn't because I was just like, well, I'm just going to doubt and you can fuck right up. It wasn't that. It was because I know humans. I know the nervous system. I know grief. I know what it feels like to have your whole life ripped apart and then still somehow be expected to like smile, just smile really pretty and say like, I trust the divine timing, okay? Like, I know what that's like. I grew up with that. I know what it's like to watch people breaking down and falling apart and have people look them right in their face and say, God's timing, trust the process. Ew. Like, no. Do you trust divine timing, Susan? Apologies if there's someone's named Susan watching this. No offense. Just seems to be the name I default to. But like, do you really trust? Or are you just terrified that, you might have to admit you're scared? Are you just terrified that if you do admit that you're scared, God's going to like pull your manifestation card? He's going to be like, oh, nope. Sit that shit on the shelf for another 6 months. There was some doubt there. And like, I don't know, maybe the reason this never sat right with me is because I've lived through that version of it. And some of you know the story, some of you don't. But years ago when I got sober, I started going to AA meetings and I got in trouble. I was like scolded like a fucking child at these meetings because there's a way, there's a ritual, y'all. There's a ritual. You are supposed to sit down, and when it's your time to speak, you say, hi, my name's Cori and I'm an addict, or hi, my name's Cori, I'm an addict alcoholic, whatever your flavor of shit is, right? And that's the way it's supposed to be. And I fucking refused. I said, nope, not today, Satan. My name's Cori. And everybody just look at me and I'd be like, that's it. What? And so my sponsor started like pulling me aside and like trying to school me and like all the things. And then other people in the meetings, like the elders in the meetings would like pull me aside and be like, you really need to adhere to our program here. And like, it's really important that you don't get complacent. And that's why we identify ourselves as what we are, which is addicts and alcoholics. And like, it's really important that you like adhere to that because complacency is real and like, it can get you in trouble. Oh, gross. Gross. Okay. Listen, that never sat right with me either. Even way back then, before I got into the spirituality stuff, before I started, digging into this world and what it all meant and trying to, grow and become someone new, even before all that, something in my gut was like, yuck. Ew, I don't like that. I don't like how that feels. Huh. And it's not, and I just said this in the last episode, like, it's not because I'm denying my history. It's not about denying who I've been or the things I've done. It's not about being ashamed of who I was. It's not about pretending that the addiction never happened. That's not it. It absolutely happened. It almost it literally did kill me a few times. Like, I went through it with addiction, and I'm not going to pretend like that's not a part of my history. But this isn't about that. This is about identity. Because every single fiber of my being, even all the way back then, something deep down knew that addiction was something that I had experienced. It was not who I was. Do you hear me? Addiction was something I experienced. It was something I went through. It was never who I was. And that experience wasn't even the most true, the most real, the most deep thing about me. And every time, because in the beginning I did, I played along. I did the things. My name's Cori and I'm an addict. I did the things. And in the beginning, every time I said those words, it was like something inside of me just went, huh, 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 like everything just contracted. It just felt wrong. Like I was reinforcing an identity that I was desperately trying to outgrow. And years later, when I entered the spiritual world, when I was digging in and I was just all in, and I wanted to learn everything there was to learn, and I wanted to know all there was to know. And I mean, spoiler alert, you'll never be there. But in the beginning, that was my goal, right? And I felt that same feeling all over again. Different language. I mean, different concept, right? Same feeling. Don't doubt. Watch your thoughts. Don't be negative. Trust harder, which sounded dangerously close to pray harder. Don't question anything. The universe has a plan. Trust the process. Ugh. Right? And once again, something inside of me was whispering like, this doesn't feel true either. Because I've been sitting here thinking like, okay, so just for clarity's sake, we're allowed to feel joy. So good to feel excitement. Yeah. No, gratitude, top notch. Fucking top shelf, right? Okay. We're allowed to feel peace. Yeah, peace is good. That's the jam. We're allowed to feel awe or childlike wonder. right? We're allowed to feel love. All those things are so, so great. Feel them all, girl. But the second that we doubt, like everybody loses their fucking mind. What? Who made that rule? Like legit, like who said that that was true? And more importantly, like who benefits from it? Who is benefiting from teaching people that they're not allowed to feel doubt? Seriously. Because I don't think it's the universe. I don't think the universe is sitting here thinking, oh, bitch, you fucked up because you had a moment of doubt. I think it's fucking people. I think that people started worshiping emotional perfection. And now we've got this whole system set up. We've got a whole generation of people trying to become emotionally untouchable, where nothing fucking bothers them. Nothing rattles them ever. Everything is high vibration. Everything is like divinely orchestrated and for a reason. Everything is, I'm sorry, I don't receive that energy from you. Like, okay, cool. But your eye just twitched when your ex-husband texted you. So maybe. Just maybe you're receiving like a little bit of it. Just a little bit. And listen, I'm not making fun of spirituality. I mean, at this point in our journey together, you should probably know that more than you know a lot of other things. Like spirituality is the jam for me, okay? You guys, you know me better than that. I believe the universe speaks. I believe in soul contracts. I believe intuition is real. I believe in alignment and the synchronicities of the universe and of this world and of our paths on this earth. I believe in all of that. I believe in purpose and that every single life has one. Hell, I named an entire show Sacred Detours. This isn't me like throwing spirituality out or saying that, you know, it's all bullshit. This is me asking, like, what if we've misunderstood it? Because I don't think spirituality was ever meant to make us less human. I think it was supposed to make us more integrated, more fully ourselves, more whole. All aspects of us, all parts of us. It was meant to be a path so that we could become more connected to the truth of who we are. That deep truth, the one that, you know, whispers at you late at night and tells you you're unhappy and you got to change some shit. You know, like that truth, that deep truth. We are all spiritual beings in a human body. And you know what that means? That means we are spiritual beings having a human experience, which also means we are supposed to experience all of it. The joy, yes, of course, the joy, the excitement, the love, all of it, but also the grief, the fear, the anger, the doubt, all of those things too. We don't become more spiritual by pretending half of our humanity doesn't exist. We become more integrated when we stop making war, when we stop going to battle with the parts of ourselves that came along for the ride, the parts that are maybe not as fun, right? Maybe a little bit darker, not as exciting. They're not as palatable for everybody, but they're still real. They're still a part of us. Somewhere along the way, we got this bizarre fucking idea that enlightenment means we're becoming like emotionally flat. We just stay neutral about everything. Oh, God, that is so gross to me. First of all, I'm an Aries. I'm not neutral about anything. Okay, let's just get that out of the way right now, y'all. It's not happening. And second, like, who wants to live in fucking blah neutrality? None of it matters. Who gives a fuck? Like, ew, that's not living to me. That it's like you flatlined. There's no pulse. There's no emotional pulse. Who wants to live like that? Why is that the goal? We want to be emotionally regulated. Absolutely. We want to have emotional intelligence. We want to be in control when those emotions come up so that they don't consume us. Absolutely. But the goal was never to like not let anything touch you, to not let anything hurt you or not let anything affect you ever in any way, unless it's positive. Like, who made the goal to never get angry? Who made the goal to never panic or to never doubt? Like, we're just supposed to float through Trader Joe's buying organic blueberries, just absolutely unbothered when a bomb's going off in our personal life. What? And like, meanwhile, your nervous system is in the fucking fetal position, you know, tucked away behind your left kidney, trying to keep from shutting down completely. Oh my God. And I want to tell you something that just like completely changed the way that I think about emotions. Your emotions are not moral. I'm going to say it again, just in case you missed it. Your emotions, there's no morality to them. They're just information. Nature's GPS. That's it. None of them are bad or good. There is no negative emotions, no bad emotions. And yeah, we use that language sometimes to differentiate, of course, but like when it comes down to it, there is no emotion that's bad. Anger isn't bad. Grief isn't bad. Doubt isn't bad. They're all just like messengers. They're just little, carrier pigeons. Kinda. Some of them are, terrible interior decorators. And you definitely don't want to let them move in forever. Okay. But they're allowed to knock on the door. They're allowed to sell you something. Like they're allowed to exist. Imagine if somebody came up and knocked on your front door and before they even could say why they're there, you started screaming, "No! You're negative, go away!" And meanwhile, Hannah from the church, she's dropped by to bring you blueberry muffins. And she's like, "What the fuck? Why?" That would be a little bit crazy, right? That's what's happening all the time with emotions. Like something negative comes up, something less than fun comes up, and people are just shutting it down because, fear shows up. Nope, absolutely not. I'm not afraid. Nope, no fear in here. Anger shows up. Absolutely not. That's not spiritual. I'm going to go meditate for an hour every morning because if I don't meditate every hour in the morning when I wake up, I might feel anger. I think that's a sign you need to feel it. This is my thought. Like, anger is not unspiritual. But so many people are like, oh my God, high vibration only. No room for grief here. High frequency only. No room for doubt over here. Like, oh my God, I felt doubt. I'm blocking my manifestation. No, bitch, you're having a normal nervous system moment. Congratulations, you're human. That's all that means. And honestly, I think suppressing emotions, especially doubt, pretending the doubt or fear is not there is one of the least spiritual things that we can do. I do. I said it. Because what is spirituality if not truth, if not a deep divine truth? If spirituality disconnects you from the truth of your own experience, what exactly was the point? What exactly are we doing here? Like if you're sitting there smiling, telling everybody, I'm completely at peace. It's my little green juice. I'm so at peace. And internally you're like, my entire fucking life is on fire. That's not helping anybody. I mean, certainly not you. I mean, it's definitely not doing the people watching you any good, right? Because again, we're just perpetuating this cycle. I actually think that we have created, accidentally maybe, I don't think it was on purpose, not some big nefarious plan, but I think we have accidentally created a culture where people are performing peace instead of like cultivating it in their own, existence. And there's a big difference there. One's a fucking costume. The other is a practice that you work at every day. One says, I will literally never wobble, never stumble, never falter. And the other one says, I'm going to fuck it up. And I know how to come back. I know how to come home. That's a big difference. Because peace, like real peace, it's not never leaving your center. It's not never being ungrounded. It's knowing how to return. It's trusting yourself to return, even when that happens again and again and again. Think about meditation, right? People always talk about meditation like, I cleared my mind. And I think it is becoming less of that now, which I'm super thankful to see. But especially for a long time, for many, many years, it was like, meditation is clearing your mind. That's fucking bullshit. You don't clear your mind when you meditate. You'd be dead. The mind's job is to mind. It's to think. Your brain's job is literally to think. It has one job. It is to send signals, messages. It's to think. And you're trying to get up in meditation as if you could just turn it off. It's like, oh, okay, heart, don't beat. Ah, fuck, I messed that up. What? No! Your heart's job was always to beat. It's going to keep on beating whether you tell it to or not. Your brain is going to keep on thinking whether you tell it to or not, whether you want it to or not, whether you're meditating or not. And you didn't clear your mind, Susan, when you sat down to meditate. You had a thought, and then you remembered you needed fucking almond milk, and then you wondered if, squirrels have feelings. I don't know, but you had a goddamn thought during that whole 20-minute session. You know you did. And you're probably thinking about redecorating your kitchen or some shit, and that's okay. Because at some point during the meditation, you noticed you weren't judgmental about it, hopefully, and you just came back. That's what meditation is. The best meditation sessions I've ever had in my life weren't void of any thought. They were the ones where I got to stay unbothered. I got to remain grounded when my thoughts veered off and I started thinking about snacks. Those were the ones. My thoughts would go, I'd bring it back. Peace. My thoughts would go, I'd bring it back. Calm. My thoughts would go, I'd bring it back. Grounded. The whole time I stayed in that grounded place, but my thoughts never just shut off completely. They'll slow, sure, but they're never going to stop completely. That's meditation. It's not never drifting. It's returning gently without judgment. I'm going to say that for you again. Because the judgment part is what gets people all messed up. And then they think they're bad at meditation. But that's another episode altogether. It's just bringing it back. It's coming back to grounded over and over again. And what if faith works the exact same way? And faith has a religious connotation, I know, but we use faith all the time. Faith in our friends to show up for us. Faith in relationships to not fall apart when it gets hard. Faith in your fucking employer to not fire you just randomly on a Tuesday. We have faith all the time. And what if faith works the same way as meditation? What if it's not? I never questioned. What if it is? I questioned everything, but I kept coming back. I kept moving forward. I kept putting one foot in front of the other. Trust doesn't mean you never doubt. You can trust the universe to have your back, to have a bigger plan, to know your purpose and to help you be guided into that. And you can still doubt at the same time. Because here's what I know. During this last year, the entire last year, I have doubted everything. Not once, not twice. We're talking hundreds of times. I have doubted everything. Whether I should sell the house, whether I should not. Whether I should buy an RV, whether I should not. Should I buy a big RV? Should I buy a small RV? Should I buy an RV that tows? Should I not? Everything I have doubted, even after I've made the decision. Should I leave the art career as I'm literally getting ready for my very last show? I've sold my kiln and my wheel. My studio is almost empty. And I'm standing in it going, was that the right decision? I doubted whether anybody would care about what I had to say on Sacred Detours. I still doubt that one sometimes. I mean, hell, there's days where I doubted whether or not I should have just stayed in my old life altogether. I mean, at least it was familiar. At least I knew it. At least I was good at it, right? And you know what's funny? Nobody posts that reel. Nobody has, the inspiring music in the background, and you're like, I am doubting everything. Life is terrible right now. It's a dumpster fire, and I feel like I've upended my whole life for no reason. The end. Nobody's on Instagram hey guys, just want to check in. Today I spent about, 47 minutes and 32 seconds convinced that I'd ruined my entire life. Then I ate, gluten-free chips in my bathtub while I sobbed at the wall and got drunk. Anyway, links in my bio. Nobody's doing that, right? We post the breakthrough. We don't post the breakdown. And then everybody secretly believes that they're the only one having one. And let me just tell you, they're not. You're not. I'm not. There were days where I was literally recording episodes telling you how incredible this story was going to be one day, about trusting the process, about identity, reinvention, all of it, about purpose, and about how I knew I was in mine. I was fucking on fire, just delivering it. And then I would hit, end recording. A couple seconds would go by and I'd literally close the door to my bedroom and just bury my face in a pillow and, sob. I'm talking like body shaking, ribs hurt afterwards kind of sob. Because I was terrified. Because the whole time I was like, what am I even doing? And here's the part that matters about that. It's not that I cried. Everybody cries. It's not that I doubted. Everybody doubts. It's not that I panicked. That's just part of being a human. It's what happened next that matters. Because eventually, every single time I'd get up, wipe my fucking face off, drink some water, take a breath or 5, maybe call a friend, maybe go for a ride. Sometimes I just stare out the damn window for a little while, but eventually I would come back. Not because I suddenly felt amazing, not because all of a sudden all the fear had disappeared, or because I'd reached some like magical state of enlightenment. Just bliss, bunny. It's so good. I just needed one more cry, y'all, and I made it. No, it's because something inside of me still knew the entire time what my purpose was. Something inside of me still knew that I was moving in the right direction, even when I couldn't see the path, even when I was doubting it all. And that's the distinction that I don't think anybody ever taught me. I don't think many people teach at all. They've taught me to trust the plan. I've been taught, trust the plan. Trust the plan, trust the process, trust it all. I was never taught to just trust your purpose. They're not the same thing. Not always. Let me tell you what doubt actually looks like, because I think a lot of people imagine that doubt is like this one big dramatic moment, where you're like standing on a cliff, the wind is like blowing through your hair. It's like cinematic moment, right? And you're questioning your existence with the solemn music in the background. And, cue the orchestra, right? Like that's the moment. No! Doubt looks annoyingly ordinary. A lot of times it looks like waking up and having the exact same conversation with yourself that you've had a million times before. What the fuck am I doing? What am I even doing with my life? What is happening? What if it all goes wrong? Oh my God. What if it all goes wrong? What if nothing works out? What if? Right? Every morning. That's what I was doing for a long time. I was just waking up wondering what the fuck I was doing with my life. And then I would think, well, yeah, no, all these decisions I'm making seem mildly irresponsible. Because we can recap if you want. Voluntarily walking away from a career, starting a YouTube channel that at the time had literally 3 people, and they were all good friends. Love you guys. I was, deciding to be a public speaker, and that was somehow going to be my next chapter, even though I had no roadmap for making that happen. Losing my house, buying an RV, becoming whatever this version of me is. And my logical brain would just clock in for work. Like every morning. Good morning, Cori. Yeah, it's morning time. Oh, it's lovely to be here. Have you lost your mind? Like if somebody had handed me that plan on paper, a couple years back, and they're like, "This is what I'm doing," I'd have been like, "You good, dude? You sure?" Because the thing that nobody talks about is that when you make a decision to change, to upend, to transform your entire life, you don't just make it once. Listen, you guys, when you make a big decision, you're not just making it one time. You make it over and over and over again, every single morning, every single day, every mealtime, every single time you get in the car, you are making the decision over and over again. And there's a version of you that will ask, are we still doing this? Like, especially when it's a big dramatic change, especially when it's something, big, right? There's a version of you that's going to be like, you sure? Still? How about now? Now? What about right now? Now? You still good? And every single time you get to answer. Every single time you get to choose. You get to make that choice again and again. You have to make that choice again and again. There were dealership visits where I got back on my bike and I would just like sit there because I couldn't even like make myself go. I just would be like, I'm so overwhelmed. Like this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. What am I even doing? I'm like blowing up every stable thing in my life and I have no guarantee it's even going to work. And then I'd ride home and I'd think about it for hours. And then, the whole financing debacle, like we went through that in previous episodes. I don't even want to get into it again, but just, I'm over here like trying to pretend like I have any idea whatsoever what I'm doing. And, I fucking don't. There were moments where I really thought, like, okay, this isn't even happening. Like, it's not even going to be possible. Like, maybe I heard wrong. Maybe my plan, maybe this is all a mistake, right? Maybe I made all this shit up in my own head and that's not what the universe was ever trying to tell me. Maybe I confused wishful thinking for purpose, right? It's possible. It's not like it's out of the realm of possibility. You ever been there? It's rough. There is a point, I think, for a lot of us where, disappointment, frustration starts to kind of masquerade itself as wisdom. And suddenly giving up on the plan, on the dream, on the hope, on the purpose, on the goal, it starts to sound way more reasonable than anything else because your brain is clever. It doesn't usually say quit. I think we'd all catch that and we'd all be like, shut up, fuck you, brain. No, I'm good. I'm going to keep going, right? I don't think the brain ever talks to us in those clear terms like that. Quit, give up. Like, I don't think it happens like that. Like, the brain is so much like sneakier. It says, maybe you're just being unrealistic. That one almost got me a couple of times because being realistic sounds responsible, right? It sounds mature. It sounds like the very adult thing to do. And sometimes it's just fear, just putting on a mask and pretending like it's, I'm just being reasonable, but it's really just you being afraid. And somewhere in the middle of all this for me, I started noticing something about, not about the circumstances, but about myself, and which was that every single time that I spiraled, I eventually found my way back, not because someone rescued me, not because I suddenly had all the answers or because everything all of a sudden made sense, but because there was something inside of me that just refused to let fear have the final word. Okay, listen, don't misunderstand. Fear got a microphone, y'all. Fear was given like fucking TED Talks and shit. Okay. But eventually I'd interrupt, eventually I'd catch myself and I'd be like, oh, okay, we're here again. That's okay. Thanks, brain. You made your case. I'm good. Now sit the fuck down. I'm gonna get back to it. Right. And I just keep moving forward because I realized that I didn't actually need to stop doubting. I needed to stop believing that every single doubtful thought deserved my immediate and complete obedience. It didn't. It doesn't. Just because your brain has a thought, it doesn't mean it's like handing you a verdict, right? Just because your brain has a thought doesn't mean you got to follow it down the rabbit hole, down, down, down until you can't come out again. Sometimes it's just doing what brains do. It's scanning for worst case scenarios. It is scanning for danger. It's trying to keep you alive. It's literally, that is its job. Keep you alive, send signals in kind. Keep you alive, help you survive, send signals that help you do that. And yes, it goes about it in some twisted ways sometimes, but that's literally its job. Your brain isn't going to ask, like, automatically just be like, oh my God, but this really keeps you fulfilled. So the fear is not really what you need to listen. No, it's going to be like, is this going to keep you breathing? Those are different priorities. And you're not going to change the brain's tendency to do that, right? Those are wildly different priorities. And honestly, thank the universe, right? Because if my brain had been in charge, if that part of my brain had been in charge of my entire life, I would definitely still be a few versions of me back, feeling completely empty, knowing that something was wrong, but not being in control of it because fear was running the show, right? So I stopped asking, like, how do I get rid of the doubt? How do I stop doubting? And I started asking myself, like, what does this doubt need from me? Does it need reassurance? Does it just need to hear it's going to be okay? Does it need rest? Maybe I'm fucking tired. Listen, that's real, okay? I don't know about you, but when I'm tired, I'm not as rational as I am other times, okay? So like sometimes when all those doubts creep in, could be as simple as I just need to rest a little bit. Maybe it just needs more information. Maybe I need to cry. Maybe I need to scream into a pillow for a minute. I don't know. And honestly, sometimes, yes, it needs all of those things. And then after all that, what I really needed was just to get it out, stand the fuck up, wipe my face off, and then start again. Take another step. Not 10, not like 100 steps, not like run the fucking marathon when I've been sitting on the couch for a year. No, one step. Because transformation really almost never asks you to see or understand or have the whole staircase mapped out. It usually just whispers like, take the next step. this way, right? We've talked about that in previous episodes. And so then you take the next step and then it whispers again. Here's the crazy part. While all this was happening, this drama, this chaos in my life of transforming everything, having no idea what's going on, life feels like a fucking dumpster fire. All of this is happening and I'm doubting and I'm crying and I'm having many like existential crisis every freaking Tuesday. Life had a completely different plan for me. That part still blows my mind. Because I think that we imagine the universe or God or, whatever you say, or even just life, like standing there with its arms crossed, like, well, looks like she doubted for a couple of minutes. 17 to be exact. Guess we're going to postpone all the things she wants until she gets her shit together. Like, we just kind of have, like, maybe we don't think about it in those terms, but that's kind of how we act sometimes. Like, really? That's the universe we're working with? The cosmic equivalent of like a DMV employee? Like, serving number. Oh, wait. Moment of doubt. Sit your ass down. Get another ticket. Like, go to the back of the line, right? I don't think it works like that. At least I don't think that anymore, right? In the beginning, I bought it. And I was in it. And I was like, okay, don't ever doubt. Okay, it's going to be fine. I doubted. I got to start over. It's okay. I don't believe that shit anymore. I really don't. Because while I was over here having the most human experience imaginable, something else was happening quietly, patiently, almost kind of invisibly, right? Like life was rearranging itself behind the scenes for me and I didn't even know it. And that's what makes it so hard when you're living it. You don't get to see Act 5 when you're still in Act 2. You just get today, right now, this moment, today's fear, today's uncertainty, right? Today's email, today's denial, today's tears, right? Like that's all you get. You don't get the montage. You don't get the fun, colorful, lively soundtrack that everybody sings to later. You don't get Morgan Freeman narrating your fucking breakthrough. You just get Tuesday at like 2:24 p.m. And meanwhile, as all that stuff was happening, doubting in real time, I kept showing up. Every no that I heard, every shutdown that I came across or I experienced, I just kept trying. Even when I had no idea what was happening. And then one day I walked into a dealership where a salesman gave me a chance and said, okay, let's do it. And then he found a lender to give me a chance. That's it. That's all it took. Not 25 people jumping on board, just one. Like one person that cared enough to keep trying until he found somebody. It was one opportunity that changed, everything, changed the trajectory of what I was doing and made me feel like life was possible again. Friends started showing up during this time in a weird way that I didn't expect and honestly was so grateful for. People started believing in me. Sometimes on days when I was having a really hard time believing in myself, and that was important. That was really needed. They reminded me why I started. They reminded me who I was. And sometimes they just reminded me to keep going. I remember friends being like, it's going to work out. You're good. Keep going. I'm thinking about one of my friends specifically. If you're watching this, love you for it. I remember just saying, listen, we don't know. We don't know anything. It's a shit show. Just keep going. It's going to work out. It's going to be fine. It's all going to work out. She had no idea it was going to work out. Not really. But I needed to hear that in that moment, right? And honestly, in those moments, it was enough. That's what I needed, And then I bought the RV. Not because every obstacle disappeared or because all of a sudden, my finances were changed and it was just, A+ in every category of life. No. Just because one step led to another and another and another. And it wasn't even really dramatic a lot of times. It was just enough just to keep moving forward. It wasn't just, by the way, it wasn't just any RV. If you haven't seen the posts and the pictures, it's fucking beautiful, y'all. I love it. It's beautiful. It's like the kind of RV that I wasn't really sure I'd be able to own, The kind that made me stand there looking at it thinking like, how the hell is this mine? Like, what? This is mine? Are you serious? Like, I still do that, to be honest. I'm like, oh my God. Because I love it. It's beautiful. The house situation started moving. No, it's not resolved. Like, and now we're in a whole different element of stuff going on. But, there's movement, hope. It didn't happen because I had everything figured out or because I was suddenly like perfectly positive. It's just because I just kept going. speaking opportunities started showing up. I was invited to speak at conferences and events, and just all of a sudden out of nowhere, people were inviting me into like conversations that I've been dreaming of having, asking me to share my story. Sacred Detours has finally started finding its voice. And I feel like especially in the last few episodes, I feel really, really grounded in the direction that I'm going with this show. And it's not because I finally reached enlightenment. It's just because I kept showing up. And I want you to notice something. The thing that I'm trying to get across is that none of those things happened after my doubt disappeared. They happened while I was still doubting. And that kind of changes everything. Because if that's true, then doubt was never the thing standing in the way. Maybe the thing standing in the way would have been like believing that the doubt meant I should quit. Believing that my moments of uncertainty meant that I was doing something wrong. Those are different stories, because one says doubt is the enemy, absolutely avoid it at all costs. And the other says abandoning yourself is the enemy. Think about that. I don't think any area of my life has ever been sabotaged by fear. I've been sabotaged by believing the fear. Those aren't the same thing. Because fear says, like, what if this doesn't work out? Believing the fear says, you're right. It probably won't. Let's go home. We're out. No more chances. We're not putting anything else into it. We're not going to try. We're not going to keep going. What if it doesn't work out? We may as well just quit now. Fear, knocks on the door, but believing fear is like, here you go. This is your house now. You live here now. And there's been so many moments in my life where I could have done exactly that, especially lately. I could have, stopped making videos. I could have just kind of quietly disappeared, just shrunk back into the bushes, and hope that nobody noticed, right? I could have run away from everything beautiful in my life right now that's happening and just gone back to what was familiar. I could have convinced myself that I was just like being realistic, right? Nobody would have blamed me. I mean, maybe they would have, but I doubt it. Honestly, I probably could have made a pretty compelling argument. I had evidence, numbers, reasons, right? Reasonable reasons. I had many of them. Logical reasons, right? But there was this like tiny, kind of annoying, beautiful and persistent and ceaseless voice that never went away. It wasn't loud. It wasn't like shouting at me, screaming at me. It was just, not dramatic in any way, just steady. It told me, keep going. It wasn't a voice that ever promised me it would work out. It still doesn't right now, today. It's not a voice that's like, yeah, girl, everything's going to work out perfectly. You're not going to hit any bumps in the road. You're not going to experience anything hard. Everything's going to be smooth sailing from here on out. That's not the voice I have. It's just a voice that keeps reminding me of who I'm becoming. And I think somewhere along the way, I realized that I wasn't actually following a plan anymore. I was following a compass. And the compass doesn't tell you how long the journey's going to take. A compass doesn't show you every turn that you'll make. It doesn't guarantee sunshine. Compasses don't promise you'll never get lost, And they definitely don't predict that you might detour way off the path that you had planned. They just keep pointing. True north. My compass, personally, was pointed to joy. And so that's what I followed. That's why every time I stumbled, every time I panicked, every time I spiraled and cried and freaked out, I could always find my way back because I was following joy. And once I understood that, everything about my situation changed. And at the same time, life laughed its ass off at me. You ever notice that? Yeah, life's got a sense of humor because every single, it's like literally the moment that you think you figured out the plan, you think you got it all mapped out, the universe is like, oh, pats you on the head. You're so cute. You thought you knew what you were doing. You didn't. Spoiler alert. Because I really thought I did. I really thought I knew exactly what the next few years of my life was going to look like. I was going to buy an RV, build Sacred Detours on the road, travel the country, speak, interview incredible people, tell stories, build a community. This was the plan. I had a list. I had all these things. I was going to go here. I was going to take Dom here. I was going to do all the things. This is my plan. It was a good plan, honestly. Like it still is, And then I met someone. I mean, actually, I met her last year, but it wasn't until I was in the thick of all this crazy radical transformation shit that I actually got to know her. And honestly, I wasn't even looking. Like, that's the crazy part, I wasn't trying to date. I was one foot out the door. I wasn't like sitting there making, relationship vision boards. I was, to be completely honest, I was so consumed with everything else going on in my life that being in a relationship or falling in love was like wildly inconvenient, really, in the scope of things. Like, really, universe? Now? This is your timing? And yet, here we are. And I got to know this incredible woman. And somewhere along the way, without forcing it or without playing games or without pretending to be somebody that, that we weren't, we fell in love. And now everything I thought I knew is changing again. I have a feeling that's a pattern, right? And, I mean, to be honest, thing is, I've had doubts about this too. Of course I have. Why wouldn't I? I'm human. If I've learned anything this year, it's that your heart doesn't stop being human just because you find something beautiful. There's still doubts, right? Moments where I'm like in my head, like, oh my God, what if this doesn't work? What if I change my plans and everything falls apart? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, right? All the things. What if, what if, what if? My brain's been busy, y'all. It usually is. But this is what's different now. A year ago, I would have owned those doubts. I would have assumed that those doubts meant that I was making the wrong decision. Now, I don't. Now I just recognize them for what they are. It's not proof that I'm somehow off my path or proof that I'm making the wrong choice. It's proof that I'm standing at the edge of something that really, truly matters. Let's be honest. Nobody lays awake in bed at night wondering if they picked the right, brand of paper towels, right? That shit doesn't matter. Nobody cares. You go to sleep. You lose sleep over things that have the power to change your life. And this relationship, she has completely changed mine. Not because I suddenly know exactly what's going to happen. I don't. I genuinely don't, right? I don't know what the end holds for us. And if I'm being completely honest, there are moments that uncertainty does scare me. But do you remember what we talked about earlier? The difference between the plan and the purpose? The plan and the purpose aren't always the same thing. And here's what I've realized. My purpose was never specifically to travel in an RV, right? That the travel in an RV was just a vehicle, no pun intended. It was just a method, a means to carry me to my real dream, to my purpose. My purpose has always been to share my voice, to tell stories, to lift other people up. My purpose was and is to speak, to create, to have conversations that matter, to build Sacred Detours into a place where women that are navigating that messy middle can finally breathe because they can realize that they're not alone. They're not fucking broken. There's nothing wrong with them. We're all in this together and it feels the same for all of us, right? I can do that. I can pursue that dream. I can pursue that purpose from an RV, or I can do it from stage, or I can do it in a house somewhere. I can do it sitting across from someone I love. Because the purpose was never about the geography, right? The purpose was always the people. The RV itself wasn't the dream. I mean, it's cool, yeah. It's one beautiful expression of the dream, sure. But if life offers me another expression that's even more beautiful, it's even more aligned, I trust myself enough to notice. So what do we do with all this? Like what do we actually do when we're the ones laying awake in bed at night at 2:00 in the morning, wondering if we've completely fucked up our lives. What do we do, right? When our brain is showing us highlight reels of every possible disaster that hasn't even happened yet, right? What do we do? What do we do when we can't tell the difference between intuition and fear? That's tough, right? I think we stop trying so damn hard to never doubt. I really do. I think we stop making war with our humanity. We don't let the doubt consume us. No, but we stop trying to shove it away and pretend like it doesn't exist. Because here's the truth. You're gonna doubt. You might doubt tomorrow, this afternoon, whatever. You might doubt halfway through building the very thing that you know you were born to build. You might doubt the relationship that you prayed your entire life for. You might doubt the business that you started, the move, the divorce. You might doubt your own healing, the dream, the calling, whatever. You might even doubt yourself, just in general, just doubt you, right? But none of that means you failed. None of that means that it's not aligned or that you have fallen out of favor with the universe or that, God left you. None of that means the universe changed its mind. It means that you're standing in the middle of becoming someone you've never been before. And that's vulnerable. Of course, your nervous system has something to say about it. It's going to have a lot of things to say about it. So doubt it. That's the thing. Doubt it. Seriously, doubt the plan. Question it. Wrestle with it. Get angry over it. Scream and cry about it. Ugly cry into your pillow if you need to. Go for a drive. Journal. Pray. Whatever it is that you do, call your bestie, okay? Sit on the bathroom floor if you got to. Sob it out. Feel it. All of it. Every single messy, beautiful, uncomfortable human part of it. Feel it all. Just don't stay there, right? Don't let yourself be consumed by it. Don't assume that because you had a moment of doubt that it's wrong. Come back again and again and again. Come back. Come back to your breath. Come back to your body. Come back to your truth and here. Not here. This guy's going to fuck you up every time. Come back to here. The truth in here. Come back to the dream that has been, calling your name for years. Come back to the version of yourself that knows, even on the days when she forgets, that she was made for more than just surviving. Come back to your purpose, not the plan, to your purpose. Because plans change. Trust me. Trust your girl, okay? Plans change. They change. Sometimes they change because they fell apart and you couldn't, whatever happened and you couldn't make it work. Sometimes they get ripped out of your hands violently and abruptly and it's painful. And so the plan changes because you don't have a choice. Sometimes plans change because something so much more beautiful than you ever could have imagined or ever could have planned for yourself falls into your lap. But purpose has a funny way of surviving every version of the story. Purpose has a way of following you through every detour you could possibly take. My future is changing so fast from what I thought it would look like. A few months ago, I could have told you exactly what I thought was going to happen. But life had some ideas of its own. And honestly, I'm starting to think that they may be better than mine. So I made a decision. I'm staying. I'm not going to hit the road the way that I thought I was. I'm not leaving. Because somewhere in the middle of building this whole beautiful plan for my life handed me something that I never planned for. Love. And I decided that I want to see where it goes. I want to follow this detour all the way, wherever it leads. Not because I know without a doubt how it's going to end. Not because I have some guarantee from the universe that choosing love means that I'll never get hurt. I wish I did. I don't. It's not because suddenly all the doubts in my life or my mind disappeared. They didn't. I'm staying because This is the detour that showed up, and I cannot build an entire life. I cannot build sacred detours around telling women to follow what lights them up, to follow what brings them the most joy, to follow what their heart is screaming yes to trust themselves when the path changes. I can't build an entire life around this concept, around this lesson, around this knowledge of what I know to be true, that following your joy, that following what your heart is screaming for is the best option. Full stop. I can't build an entire life around that. Telling women, trust yourself, don't confuse your plan with your purpose. I can't teach that and then turn around and refuse to do it myself when life is asking me to. I have spent so much of this year talking about what it means to choose joy, to follow alignment, to be aware of it when the universe is screaming at you. This way. Right here. To stop clinging so tight to the picture of what you thought your life was going to look like that you miss the life that is actually happening in front of you. This is my detour. It's maybe the most sacred one of all. This is life happening right in front of me, for me, and I choose it. I choose her. I choose to stay. I choose to give this love room to grow. I choose to find out what happens when I don't run away from something beautiful just because nobody can promise me how the story ends. I choose to experience something that I don't think I've ever really allowed myself to experience before. I love that I don't have to chase. I love that I don't have to earn. Love that I don't have to shrink inside of. It's a love where I get to show up as this whole fucking woman that I've been trying so hard and I've worked so hard all this time to become. And find out what happens when somebody loves her. And maybe it lasts forever. God, I hope it does. I think it will. But I don't need unwavering certainty to choose what brings me joy. I don't need to know every detail of the ending to know that this chapter right now deserves to be lived fully, completely, with my whole heart. So yeah, I'm staying. Your girl's staying. And just so we're clear, Sacred Detours isn't going anywhere. I'm still dreaming. Every day, I'm still building Sacred Detours, and I'm determined to keep going. I'm still going to speak. I'm still pursuing that path for my life. I'm still going to tell stories, and I might still travel, maybe for a week, maybe for a month. I don't know. And if you think that I am voluntarily spending every single day of every single winter forever here, freezing, may not know me that well, because there will be some sunshine escapes in my future. But I might also learn to love the cold. I might also learn to love a different life than I ever thought I would. I might learn that this entirely different life, so different than anything I imagined, is the exact thing I always wanted. I'm not leaving my life behind anymore to go searching for it. Because apparently, while I was making all these plans to find my next life, the universe is like, bitch, we got you. Life was already finding me, you know? And my purpose is to spend my life reminding people that they are not broken, to lift other people up and to inspire and bring hope. I'm still following that same compass. I'm still following joy, but the scenery looks a little bit different than I expected. If this year's taught me anything, it's this. The goal was never to become someone who never falls apart. The goal was to become someone who knows how to find her way home again and again and again. And that's faith, not emotional perfection, return. So if you're watching this today and you're doubting, good. You're in good company. If you're scared, Welcome. Welcome, lady. We are in it together, okay? If you're standing in this messy middle and you're wondering, God, have I ruined everything? These doubts are so loud sometimes. Just take a second and sit with me right now and hear me when I tell you you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have the rest of your life figured out and planned for right now. And if you do, and it looks like your life is detouring away from that plan, that's okay too. You just have to remember who you are. You have to remember, come back to what lights your soul on fire. Come back to that. Remember the purpose that has been, pulling at you. Sometimes loudly, sometimes quietly, even when you try to ignore it. The purpose that's never let you go. The one that's been in here. And then take another step. That's it. One step, just one more step. You don't have to take 50. You don't have to go out and run the whole length of the track. You just got to take one step. And if you doubt again tomorrow, come back again tomorrow. You just keep coming back. If you panic, it's okay. If you lose yourself for a moment, it's okay. None of those things mean you're doing it wrong. You just keep coming back. Keep coming back to the true north. Keep following joy. Keep following what lights your soul on fire as many times as it takes, because that's what faith looks like. It's not perfection, it's return. And maybe, just maybe, one day you'll look back at this moment in your life. Maybe you'll look back at this exact time and remember this video. Remember all the thoughts you were having and all the feels that were coming up for you at the time. And you'll realize that it was actually the detour, the very sacred detour that led you home. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the detour.